Hello, and welcome to another Captain's Crafting Guide. Today we're going to be covering siege weapons. Quick disclaimer, all information shown is subject to change, current patch 5.115. Now this next screen is the money. You might have to pause it right now so that you can either document, screenshot, write it down on pen and paper, whatever you feel like doing. This has the totals for the Ballista MK1 through 4s, the Catapults MK1 through 4s, and the Trebuchets MK1 through 4s. Now keep in mind, you're not going to be able to create any MK2s, 3s, or 4s unless you actually have a siege workshop. And the way to get that is by owning a fort, mini keep, or a keep. Then you will have to invest in a deed and put that deed into that plot and start building it up with your basic resources. Now let's go ahead and take a look at this ballista. For an MK1 and for an MK2, it's not going to require a lot of materials, but where it starts hurting is the heartwood firing arms, because those are going to take 2 sets of 4, and then you also need 2 of those, so that's going to be 16 total heartwood. For an MK4, the firing technique scrolls is actually very cheap with just 2 beeswax of the same type. Now the catapult is going to require the same amount of material as the ballista, since these two are relatively small in size. The thing is, in order to upgrade an MK1 to an MK2, you have to add the reinforcing brackets. And then to make an MK3, you're going to have to add the 2 heartwood firing arms on top of the reinforcing brackets. And then you have the MK4, which is your final and the highest tier siege weapon, which is going to do the most damage. Keep in mind there is no shortcut, so in order to make the higher tier you have to include the previous tier parts, meaning you can't throw in a firing technique scrolls and 2 reinforcing brackets and expect an MK4. It's not going to work. And what I mean by it's not going to work is you will just receive an MK2 and be essentially wasting the firing technique scroll. Now let's go ahead and move on to the trebuchets. These guys are going to be the big ones, okay? They're going to require a slight amount more of raw materials, but they're going to require the same amount of heartwood firing arms, firing technique scrolls, and the reinforcing brackets. On the plus side, they do have the furthest range in comparison to the ballista and the catapult, and they will be doing the most damage. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the reinforcing brackets. You will need a rank 1 siege workshop in order to unlock this recipe. With that being said, you are also going to have to go inside of that workshop and go to the woodworking table, as well as having a siege engineer equipped as a major discipline. Please keep that in mind, because without that siege engineer major discipline, you're not going to see it. Now the heartwood firing arms is going to require a rank 2 siege workshop, and it's going to be very expensive for the cost of an MK3 siege weapon. This is where you definitely want a guild full of loggers that are really good, have really good tools, and I have been keeping up with their passives from day one. Because if you don't have loggers in your guild, you're probably going to be screwed when you're trying to create MK3s. Lastly, we have our firing technique scrolls, which is going to require a rank 3 workshop. Now the beeswax is actually very easy to get in comparison to all of that heartwood. The bad thing is you need all of that heartwood as well, and then combine it with this firing technique scrolls to create the MK4. In essence, I wouldn't even bother making MK3s. You might as well just go ahead and upgrade your siege workshop and make those MK4s, because 2 beeswax is very easy to get. Now, a word of advice, since you're already trying to craft all these siege weapons, you need to get a siege engineer, because this guy is going to make your siege weapons even more powerful, even more durable, and he is also going to be able to repair them, because as you could tell, if you're looking at making an MK3 or 4, they get very expensive, and the last thing you want them to do is die, because they are still very squishy. Not only that, a 90% damage reduction is amazing, but 100% damage bonus, that is phenomenal. This is gonna blow through walls like crazy, unless of course it's a rank 10 wall keep or something. In short, don't leave home on a siege without your siege engineers, because you've already wasted so much resources trying to do this. Bring a siege engineer. It's really not an optional choice here. Before we wrap things up, let's go ahead and give you a captain's tip. This is your passive tree in explorations. This is the route that I've taken myself. It's, in my opinion, optimized, but you're welcome to do whatever you'd like to do. I went down and to the left to get logging basics maxed very first, so you might want to go ahead and 4-pip it all the way to there and max it. The second thing that I maxed was the beeswax, just because later on it's going to be extremely important, definitely for siege weaponry. You're going to have to 5-pip the survival proficiency in order to move on to the next tree. The goal here is to use advanced tools as fast as you can and also get that 3% heartwood chance. Moving on to the reaping tree, what I did very first was max the reaping basics in order to get your energetic harvesting. Once that is out of the way, you can 4-pip the next one and then max out for a 5% heartwood chance. Continue on to the next 5% heartwood chance. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to max out my heartwood chance, which if you follow this route, you will be at a 13% chance for heartwood. You're more than welcome to do whichever you'd like to do, but this is the optimal way to get the highest amount of heartwood in the least amount of time. Finally, we have our Carnosaur, which you're able to extract these out of rank 6 or higher nodes with a soul gem equipped into a harvesting tool. Now, they are one of the most valuable exploration disciplines right next to Foreman, but they're extremely worth it because it's going to boost your chance for heartwood by 5%. Also, before I forget, don't forget to get that bee rustling from your rank 3 siege workshop, because that's going to boost your beeswax chance by a very nice amount. So if done correctly and you are a logger with the logging passives, going the route I've showed you, you are going to be running at an 18% chance to harvest heartwood and also a 9% chance to harvest beeswax. This will make you a siege weapon making beast, and your guildies will love you for it. Like always, everyone, thank you for watching. If you like this content, please subscribe, hit that thumbs up. If you have any more questions, you can always find me on Twitch. I am open to any kind of questions, so please drop by, hit a follow, and just basically hang out or watch me do something crazy. Again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the battlefield.